Just limit in a few folks at one time. Okay. So if you're viewing me on the live, then what's happening is the folks who are coming in who have registered, there's like, since we're doing like a little raffle or drawing, if you please, there I actually have to enter like this number that they can have when they log in, if that makes sense. So what I was just doing just then was bringing them in, but at the same time, I was giving them the number that they're going to need for this raffle, if that makes sense. Okay, so if you can remember, we talked about several people who have reached out to me to say, listen, I just want to know how to calculate a mortgage payment. If I see a property that I'm interested in, I want to know how to calculate the mortgage payment without the need of a lender at the time. Suppose I'm not ready to talk to a lender, or suppose when I talk to that lender just to get the mortgage payment, that they feel as though I need to be obligated to them. And I understand exactly what it is that they're saying. That makes sense to me. So I'm going to show you how to calculate your mortgage payment so you won't feel obligated to anyone as you are in your search for your property. And I know it can take a while. You don't always, it doesn't always work out the way that you're thinking and you find your property overnight. Sometimes it can take a minute. You can be looking for a while before you find that specific property. And I've heard people say, well, I just don't want to keep calling just to get the amount of the mortgage payment. Now, for me, it's no problem. You can call me as much as you want to find out the amount of your proposed mortgage payment. I mean, that's what I do. So that's not a problem for me. But for some people, they don't want to trouble everyone. So I'm going to show you how to get it done without troubling anybody. How about that? Okay, so let's go to, so I know you have your handout. We're going to operate directly from that ebook that I sent you. Okay, so when you go to the ebook and you're page one, on page one, are you there? Okay. And that's if you're using the Texas instrument. Now, we can come back some other time and show you how to do it without the Texas instrument. So there's several ways that you can actually calculate this. All right. So if you look on page one, it's showing you how you can, firstly, what you want to do is you want to go through and take that APR and move it into an actual monthly rate. So that APR is your annual percentage rate. So you want to convert that annual percentage rate into a monthly rate. So that's the very first thing we do to calculate the mortgage payment. Yeah. And at the top of page one, you see that there's a formula there, and the formula includes the monthly mortgage payment. It includes the principal loan amount. Yeah, that's what you see there. Uh-huh. So you see that M equal P multiplied by R. That's the monthly payment. And you break down that monthly payment by taking the principal amount, and then you multiply it by that rate, whatever your rate is. You're gonna take that annual rate and divide it by 12. Yeah, there you go. hmm And of course, the loan term. So if it's 30 years, then you can, yeah, yeah. So what you do is you move that 30 years into the amount of months that it would be. And of course, it'll be 360 months for the 30 years. So those are the items that we're going to need. And I tell you what, instead of us taking that APR, because I don't want to use a lot of time on this, and I want to make sure, but in the book that I sent you, the ebook that I sent you, it has all of the steps that you can take to be able to firstly break down that annual percentage rate into a monthly rate so that you understand how much interest you're paying per month. Now, the reason why that's going to be important because in the future, what we're going to go through is showing you how to prepay your interest. And as you prepay the interest, you'll see a big difference in your mortgage balance. You'll see a big difference in the amount of money that's being applied towards your principal. Yeah. So that's another thing that we'll look at. You can do biweekly payments on your mortgage, and what that will do is help in some cases with prepaying the interest. But of course, that would be after you had made your payments at a certain time. Yeah. In order for it to become prepaid interest, you've got to make those payments at a certain time. And then you go from there into biweekly payments. And that helps you to prepay your interest, which again allows more of your payment to be applied towards your principal on an automatic basis. Okay. So if you go to in that, and I'm hoping everybody is looking at so there's a manual that everyone should have. Let me just share my screen quickly here. Okay. So hopefully everybody has this manual. And if you, okay, so this is what the manual looks like. This little ebook. It was emailed to you. On this first page, we're talking about this whole formula that we're going to be using. And if you come down to page 4, okay, that's where we want to be. So if you can see that, what does it say there? You see very step 1. It's funny. It's telling you to turn on your calculator. I put this together, so you have to forgive me for some of my, but I wanted to make sure that there was no problem with everybody understanding how to do this. So this is the shortcut to what you see in the book prior to this. This is a quick way. Pages 1 through 3 will give you all of the nuances and all of the steps that are involved and all of the information that you want to garner. But if you just want to do a quick calculation, you come here to page 4. So you got your calculator on, making sure that you've cleared out all of your previous data. So you want to enter the number of payments. Now remember, if it's a 30-year loan, that's going to be 360 months. Okay. Okay, so you see in there on your, yeah. Okay. So you press in, okay? And then from there you enter 360. Okay, you see that? Okay. Now we want to put in the amount of interest. So if you know what your interest rate is going to be, on this particular example that I use in the book, the interest rate is 5%. Okay. So you go there, you see the IY right next to the number of payments. It's right there, right next to the number of payments. And you're going to enter that 5, indicating 5%. Okay, then we're doing it right in a row here, right in a row here. Yeah, right in a row. So the very next one is going to be calculating the present value. You see where my finger is? Okay. So you're going to click PV so that you can calculate or confirm you don't have to calculate, just enter the present value, which is the loan amount that you're looking at. We just used $200,000 for this. Okay. And I tell you why so in some cases when I just had this is an actual example of someone who purchased some land and the purchase price was $200,000. So, okay. All right. So you enter that as the present value of the property or the loan. Okay. Now, when you get ready to set the future value, you want to set the future value at 0. Okay. If you're looking for a future value, go down right next to the payment button. Yeah. And you click the FV for future value, enter 0. And then the next step, compute the payment. Okay, so we've entered so far. So the first step was that we entered, well, hopefully you cleared everything out that you may have been working on. All the data that was in there prior to, you cleared that out. And that way you can have accurate calculations. Okay, so you're entering the number of payments. Remember, that's the first thing that we said we were going to do. And right there, you can see the N. You click in, and then you enter the 360. That's if it's a 30-year loan. If it's not a 30-year loan, then you calculate what the amount of months it would be. If it's a 12-year loan, that's 144 months. If you're doing a short-term loan, it's 5 years, that's 60 months. You determine based on 12-month increments the length or the term of the loan. If it's 30 years, it's 360. So you enter 360. Okay, now we want to enter the interest. Right next to the number of payments, you'll see I over Y. Okay, so you're going to enter that interest rate right there. And the interest rate is 5%. And the reason why it's I over Y is because that's actually the what you're putting there. I'm sorry, I'm reading someone's note. Please forgive me. Okay, I understand what y'all are saying. Yes, and I was getting to that. So what you're entering there on the I over Y is the interest rate annually. That's why it's I over Y, interest and yearly. Okay, so you're entering the annual percentage rate. But remember, I told you if you look on the bottom of page 1 and the top of page 2, it'll show you how to calculate moving that APR into a monthly rate. And the reason why that's important to you is because you get to see how much interest you'll be paying per month. So if you decide to prepay a portion of your interest each month, more of your funds will be applied towards your principal, which will reduce your principal amount quite rapidly. Okay, so, okay, all right. All right, so we're getting back to this payment. Back to the payment. Thank you so much for the comment. Getting back to the payment. All right, so you've entered the annual percentage rate, and what you did was you clicked the little button there, I over Y, indicating interest. Yeah, yearly. Okay. So now present value. You click the PV and you enter what your loan amount will be, what your sales price is. So if you're buying you're getting a VA loan and you're interested, you just passed by a property that was $400,000 and you're interested in getting a VA loan to purchase that property. So since you're getting a VA loan, it's no down payment required. Then you can use as your present value the actual sales price of the property. If you're getting an FHA loan and you look at a piece of property and you see that it's $280,000, and maybe you've got one of those loans where they're going, well, you only need to pay 3% down and the rest of it will be financed, then you understand that you're going to enter the loan amount based on that sales price multiplied by 3%. You deduct 3%, and then that will be your loan amount, if that makes sense. Okay, so for the present value, you're entering the loan amount. Here we've used $200,000. Okay. And the reason why we use $200,000 is because I'm using it based on a recent situation where an individual purchased some land for $200,000. Okay, so that's your present value. PV, same line. Okay. Now for the future value, which is going to be right down here on the end, you're going to enter 0. And then after you've done that, you'll hit payment right there to calculate the payment. Okay. So if you use those same figures that I gave, the 360 months, the 5% annual percentage rate, the $200,000 loan amount, no future value, and then you hit payment, you should have come up with a payment amount of $1,074.19. Let me pause on sharing because when I'm sharing, I can't see y'all's hands, and I want to see if anybody has their hands up in terms of yeah, let me check to see if anybody's got their hand up. in terms of, okay, all right. I don't see any hands. Just want to make sure that everybody's got, let's see. I had to stop sharing my page. Sorry about that. Okay. But I was trying to check both screens, the YouTube live as well as here, to make sure that nobody had their hands up in terms of. So if you've got any questions before we end this, go ahead and, if you're on YouTube live, put it in the chat. If you're on Facebook live, put your questions in the chat before we end this, because we're getting ready to go to something different. Okay, so what's important about making sure that you can calculate your own mortgage payment, okay, is that you can be looking at several different properties and you're not ready yet to speak to a loan officer, but you want to know what your monthly payment is going to be. But you're looking at, 10, 15 houses. That's a lot. But anyway, you're looking at a lot of houses at once. This is a way for you to calculate what your monthly payment will be. And then when you're ready to speak to a loan officer, you can. When you're ready to ask your realtor about a specific property or two or three properties, you can. But every few minutes, you're reaching out. Hey, what would the payment be on this? What would the payment be on 400,000? What would the payment be on 300,000? What would the payment be on 800,000? You don't have to do that. You can go, and sometimes I've found that people go online and they go to some of the intelligence that we have online, but their payments are not always accurate and they're not understanding why. Well, this is a way for you to calculate it yourself. Yes, you can use the intelligence that we have that's available online. Yes, electronic intelligence, excellent. But there are times when, for whatever reasons, you're using Chat GPT or you're using some of the other AI, and your payment doesn't come back the way that you're expecting, and I mean, numbers don't lie, but somehow in the calculating, there have been times when there have been errors, or the individual wants to make an adjustment and they're not quite sure how to put those questions into the intelligence that's available. If you know how to calculate it yourself manually, then you know how to create different variants to assist you in what you're trying to create for purchasing your property. So what I'm doing and what I've done over the years is I created a home ownership plan. This is why you see that I, was able to send you guys that book. That's a book that I put together myself. And what that does is it helps you again to calculate not just your mortgage payment, but also if you wanted to, let's say you needed to save a certain amount of money that you weren't in the position that you needed to be in financially. You weren't in the place where you needed to be financially yet, but you knew how to get there, but you weren't there yet. You still needed to save a few more dollars, and you wanted to calculate how to go about doing that. Well, what I did was I set up a way for you to also understand compound interest. And so that's also a part of that little ebook that I send out. It tells you how to calculate compound interest. So a lot of you have the book. Some of you are still interested in getting the book. Just let me know. You can put it in the chat right now if you want a copy of this ebook, and I'll go ahead and send it out to you. Again, we'll go back through some of the things that are involved in this ebook, and then we're going to go on to the next session that we have. All of this has to do with the home ownership plan that I offer. And let me tell you, there are some awesome testimonials that I've gathered over the years as it pertains to the home ownership plan. This home ownership plan helps you if you are at a point where there is no way you can purchase a house, but you don't know how to start. People are giving you all kind of monumental things, and it's like, oh my God, there's no way I'm going to be able to do all that. It's just too much. In our home ownership plan, we show you how to chop that tree down 1 inch at a time. We take each week that we meet, we address a certain situation, whether it be the credit issue, whether it be how to get your rating to a certain point, whether it be how to get your debt to income ratio, to even understand the debt to income ratio. And of course, this ebook also covers debt to income ratio. So if you want a copy, just let me know, send me a message, and I will be more than happy to send you out a copy. It helps you understand what debt to income ratio is, what the loan officer will be looking for. Because sometimes you can have excellent credit, but your debt to income ratio can be out of the ratio, out of the range that's approvable. And you'll be like, well, I don't get it. My credit's excellent. Why did I not get approved? And so we can show you how to get your debt to income ratio in range for the types of loans that you may be interested in acquiring to purchase your property. Okay, because they're different. They're very the ratios may vary depending on the type of loan that you're going to be getting. But we show you how to do all of that, preparing you. We walk you through it. And after every session of the homeownership plan, we leave. Now, the homeownership plan is not done in public. Mm-mm. It's a one-on-one meeting that we have. We can meet at my office, or we can meet online, and we walk through what we're going to be doing. When you come to that meeting, you have certain documentation. We walk through that, and I say to you, this is where you are. This is where you qualify based on this type of loan. That's that type of loan. I am not certified. I am not licensed, having to do anything with banking at all. I am okay. I do have a certification in banking and finance, but I'm not a licensed mortgage banker or anything like that. No. I help you so that you can be prepared to go before the loan officer and be qualified. And each time we end a session, we tackle something. You have an assignment, something that you have to finish. And then when we come back together, once you finish that, then anything that I can do to help you implement that, I do that. Because I do have FRCA and other things like that that can help you in those areas. So anyway, it's called the homeownership plan. It involves a whole lot. And when you're ready to go before that loan officer, when you're ready to pick your home and go get your pre-approval, you'll have all of this information and you'll know it for yourself, not just to purchase the property, but after understanding compound interest, understanding other things. Understanding compound interest helps you to save a certain amount, shows you how to apply the funds, what type of resources you'll have at the end of. Let me give you an example before we end. Okay, so let's say I took 5,000. I said, what if you deposit $5,000 at 3%, and then we talk about what that compounded interest will look like over a period of time. So that's what you will see in the book. There are variation of things that are here in this ebook, but it's designed to help you with information so that you're not having to call someone, and it's step by step. It walks you through step by step, so you're not having to call someone for every little thing. You'll feel more confident, more secure in understanding where you are and where you need to be. And it won't seem like such a long trip. I walk through it with you, and it's called the homeownership plan. And I'm here to assist you with that homeownership plan whenever you're ready. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end this session, and then we open up to graduate to land ownership. I'm Jacqueline Battle, and I want to tell you thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to be your realtor. It's a great day to purchase land. It's a great day to purchase any type of real estate, the home of your dreams.